Hey everyone, in this video we just wanted to take a moment to talk to you about why you should probably pay attention to the foods that you eat and not just focus on the calories, the calories or the macros that they provide.
Exactly.
So to begin with this one, I guess a kind of fundamental example would be trans fatty acids. They've been banned from the food supply because, well, they're harmful, even in very small quantities.
Yeah.
So if macros were all that mattered, then, I mean, load up on trans fats and it should make a difference, right?
But they don't put those in foods anymore, right?
Yeah, they've been banned. You can't even find, I don't think you can find partially hydrogenated oils anymore. You can find fully hydrogenated, but those aren't trans fats. Those are saturated fats. Partially hydrogenated oils aren't part of the food supply anymore because they've been proven unequivocally to cause harm. What's another example? I'm sure what's another example?
Refined grains.
Refined grains. Perfect. There's a lot of people that, there's a lot of data that showed that compared to whole grains, refined grains are way unhealthier.
Why is that?
Well, food structure, for one, they don't have the fiber. And they're more.
Do you think that's what I was going to get to.
The acellular carbohydrate content, right? That overwhelms the intestinal microbiome. So basically just focus on foods.
Well, I think another thing that a lot of people miss out on too is the digestibility. So highly processed foods, we just extract more calories from it. And what is the leading cause of obesity? Too many calories, right?
Yeah, energy imbalance. Yeah, digestibility is another actually great factor because think of nuts, right? There have been a series of studies conducted on nuts that demonstrate that how much energy you get from them really depends on how well you chew them. And so like on average, for example, walnuts and almonds have 20% lower metabolizable energy than what's written on the nutrition label because people aren't grinding these up into a nut paste in their teeth. And nutrition labels are...
Think about that next time you eat nut butter instead of whole nuts.
Yeah, the way nutrition labels are determined is by burning them in a bomb kilometer. But you're not doing that in your body. You have to chew them, and then your enzymes have to break down the proteins, carbs, and lipids. So, I mean, that's a great example. Another example would be cooking methods, right?
Yes.
Cooking makes food way more digestible. Raw potato. Raw potato is like basically all fiber. You're not going to digest it, but you cook a potato and suddenly it's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's like a lot of people on these raw food diets. Alex probably isn't familiar with any of these, like the Raw Food Goddess and all the big names that promote the raw food diets. They say that they eat like 4,000, 5,000 calories a day, and they probably do. Why? Because they're only eating raw plants, nothing else.
They're not extracting
and they're not eating a lot of fat, most of them. Like they're eating just like vegetables, and so they're probably eating that much, which sounds horribly like gut distending.
Yeah, but the point is it's not really about how many calories you put in your mouth. It's about how many you're able to extract in your gut.
Exactly.
And so that has huge implications just when you think about body composition, because if I'm eating 4,000 calories a day, where a third of those come from cooked and cooled potatoes that are rich in resistant starch,
that you're not extracting,
that is a fiber and that I'm not extracting energy from, I can't just switch over to 4,000 calories of refined grains and think that my body composition is going to stay the same. I mean, ignoring all of the inflammatory induced water changes in the way I look,
you're just going to be extracting more calories anyways.
Exactly. So yeah.
Well, and then nutrients. What do you think about like cooking methods on nutrient profiles too? It's not just like you're losing nutrients when you overcook and eat heavily processed foods.
Well, yeah, and you're also creating harmful nutrients like heterocyclic amines when you cook meat with too harsh a cooking methods or advanced glycation end products. So, I mean, there's a lot of nuances here to your overall diet. And when it comes to health, a lot of those things matter. when it comes to body composition, a lot of those things still matter, because the only time, with regards to body composition, the only time the amount of calories you put in your mouth is really going to matter is if your diet's relatively stable over time, like if you eat from the same foods. Yeah. Because like I just said, if you eat 2,000 calories of cooked and cooled potatoes, that's going to provide less energy than 2,000 calories of white bread.
Yeah, and if you're doing that every other day and all over the place with your diet, that's why I have a huge problem with if it fits your macros too. You can't really control for everything in your diet. And if you have goals, like if you're a competitor, most moms and dads and just general people don't really care. But if you are an athlete or if you have a competition, that's going to freaking matter.
Yeah.
And you can't control for that stuff. Like you have to know how your body's going to respond.
Yep. And it's good to have flexibility, but it can't be something you do on a regular day basis. You can't have an irregular eating pattern when it comes to meal times or foods.
Why not meal times?
Well, because your body's hormonal environment when you eat, your body learns about your meal times.
The circadian eating patterns, right?
Yep. Meal times are one of the primary 𝘧𝘰𝘰𝘥 for a lot of metabolic processes in the body. And so it sets things up to expect meals. If you regularly eat dinner, for example, at like 6 p.m., you might notice that once 5 o'clock hits, 5:30, you start to get hungry. And that's natural because your body knows that you normally have food at a given time. And so it's going to tell you, okay, it's coming up on that time. I'm going to start preparing for that food intake. At the same time, you see studies, for example, that show people that regularly eat breakfast, if you make them skip breakfast, then the metabolic response to lunch is way worse. Like they have more insulin resistance, greater insulin response. But if you have these people regularly skip breakfast, then that detrimental metabolic response to lunch doesn't occur because their body's adjusted. It's learned.
So you always want to look at that too when someone's claiming that, like these breakfast studies, like people that skip it. I think I've looked at some that was the issue.
Oh yeah, they recruit habitual breakfast eaters and then change their schedule. Yeah. They're going to have negative effects in the short term.
Well, because they aren't taking account for their normal eating patterns.
They're not giving them enough time. Yeah, and they're not giving them enough time to acclimate. So yeah, I guess that's all we wanted to talk about.
Food quality matters.
Food quality and foods matter, not just the macros.
Well, if you like this, give us a like, share.